Hey there, let's talk quickly about Shakeology. Shakeology can be a very overwhelming topic to talk about, especially because, people who are really concerned about their health, as everyone should be, may ask you a lot of questions about what's in Shakeology, why is Shakeology better than other shakes out there, why is Shakeology so expensive, all those different things. And as a new coach, or even as a coach who's been working for a long time, it can be a struggle, especially if you're talking in person with someone, about knowing what to say or how to respond to those questions. If you're typing to them, you can quickly ask the question on one of the Facebook groups, or you can look it up in the FAQs or something like that. But if you're talking to someone, it can be sort of nerve-wracking to know exactly what the answers are right away. And of course, as like a side comment, if you don't know the answer, let them know that you're not entirely sure and you want to give them the correct information and you want to look it up. That gives you a chance to get the information right, and also it gives you a way to go back to the conversation later. So anyway, let's talk about some really key points that you can hopefully quickly memorize, tuck back there in your brain for when somebody asks you. So first of all, bottom line, Shakeology. Here's how Shakeology is made. If you look at the ingredients list, there is no chemicals in it. Everything listed is a real food, okay? How is Shakeology made? Plain and simple, the real foods are dried, like flowers would be dried, and ground into a powder. Okay, so if you think about how big a flour is, and then you think about how small it becomes if you were to grind it down, that's how they get all those different ingredients, 8 salads worth, into every scoop of Shakeology. Okay, it's because of the way it's ground. Now, what makes that so expensive? Well, first of all, there's all those different ingredients. Okay, the ingredients are not like green beans and corn. I've got a giant truck driving by. The ingredients are not green beans and corn. They're things like acai berries and things that have to be found in, remote locations. So after these remote exotic ingredients are found, okay, which has to be paid for, then they all have to be dried a very specific way according to each individual item in order to maintain, the validity of their vitamins and nutrients within the item. So each individual item has to be dried a specific way and then ground into the powder, okay? So that essentially is why it costs so much, okay? So remember this, it's all real ingredients ground into a powder, okay? So that's how Shakeology is made and why it is so expensive. The other thing to talk to people about when they ask you to compare shakes, here's a couple things you're gonna think about. You're gonna think about 5 different things, I would say. The first thing you're going to do is ask them to look at the ingredients, just the list of ingredients, okay? There are a couple shakes on the market out there, I think Isagenix is one of them, that also uses real whole foods, okay? Main difference between these things, Shakeology has a lot more than any other shake. So if 2 shakes have the same, high quality health standards, look at Shakeology. It's got tons more healthy ingredients, tons more ingredients than Isagenix, for example, does. So that's the one thing you're going to look at. Another thing you're going to talk to them about is that it's not about macronutrients, and your macronutrients are your protein, your fat, and your carbs, okay? When it comes to a shake like Shakeology, which is a meal replacement, not a protein shake, it is not about the macronutrients. A protein shake only has protein in it. There's really nothing else in a protein shake. Shakeology has your carbs, your fats, your protein, and it has 24 out of the 27 micronutrients. Now, what are micronutrients? They're your vitamin A, your vitamin B, your vitamin K, your all of the vitamins and minerals that are listed on an ingredients label with the percentages next to them and the milligrams. That's micronutrients, okay? So it's about the micronutrients. That's what Shakeology is meant to help you with, okay? The last thing you're going to compare Shakeology with other brands of shakes is you're going to look for these 3 ingredients: soy, artificial sweeteners and artificial flavors. Shakeology has none of these things, and that is the best thing about it, that it doesn't compare to other shakes, okay? Soy, what is the problem with soy? Soy is very cheap to produce. It is a filler in many, many health shakes, okay? And so because it's very cheap to produce, that's why shakes can be cheaper, because there's soy in them. However, soy interrupts digestion, it lowers immune system, it affects your thyroid, your mental cognition, and your reproduction. Soy is one of the most dangerous chemicals out there to be in something that you're eating, and so we don't want it in our health shake, okay? Artificial sweeteners, we know all about that. It stimulates appetite because it raises your insulin levels, and it actually increases your carb cravings. It also increases your fat storage, okay? And we know everything that we've heard about aspartame and the problems it causes, possible cancer, things like that. So no artificial sweeteners, only stevia or stevia. I actually don't know how to say that. That's the only sweetener in Shakeology. The last thing is artificial flavors. Artificial flavors are a no-no, okay, for foods if you can avoid them. They're directly linked to ADD, asthma, headaches, and they also affect your thyroid, all right? So some shakes, like Isogenics, I'm pretty sure, do not include these three things, so that's awesome, all right? But things like other shakes will have one or more of these three ingredients. So those are the main points you want to think about when you're talking to someone about Shakeology. To repeat, how Shakeology is made, the individual ingredients are dried specifically to each ingredient or food and ground into a powder. Okay, that's why it's so expensive. That's how it's made. It's not about macronutrients, fats, carbs, and protein. Shakeology is not a protein shake because it has much, much more. You can even pull a protein shake off the counter at Target and take a look at it. And finally, Shakeology does not have soy, artificial sweeteners, and artificial flavors. And it has many more ingredients, whole ingredients than other shakes. I know that was fast. Hopefully you can take a few quick notes on that just to remember those key talking points, and hopefully that'll be enough for you. Obviously, if anybody has more very specific questions about specific ingredients or the minutia about being gluten-free versus not, or the vegan, that's when you can tell them, you know, hold on, let me go check. But in general, those are the most basic points and things that you should know when talking about Shakeology.